Yeah. Well,
That's well, I mean, it's got that like converter thing on it, right? Like it's the power going.
There's some electrons in there.
There's a fuck ton of electrons in there. Like a shit ton. We don't like that though. We're positive charge, and that's negative charge.
It's funny. It's pretty opposite of like the reality that runs on negative charge, and here we are.
Sure we are. Here we are.
all right. So, who are you people, and what are you doing here? So, you don't have to answer the second question, but the first question.
We'll tell you both.
Okay.
I'm Jordan.
And what are you doing here?
Oh, I thought we were gonna be like,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I'm Jordan, and I was invited here to answer questions.
My name's Rich. No,
Yeah.
I didn't say I am Rich. My name is Rich. And I think I invited myself on this. So you got invited. I invited myself.
And
That's cool, right?
Yeah. So, what do you do?
Oh, we are half of positive charge.
1/2 or 2/4.
Yeah, I've reduced.
More specifically.
I reduced the fraction.
It's
That's
4 of
right.
us.
You're 2/4 of
2/4 of positive charge.
That's right.
How long has a positive charge been around for? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I mean, the band name started in 2016, right?
Yes, but
We used
our
to-
first performance, like the proto positive charge, was 2015
Yeah, it was. We used to be called Pistols at Dawn.
yeah.
for a
And if
year.
you want to go like the nitty gritty, we had a little band before that called New Elders, which died and then reformed into Pistols at Dawn, which then became Positive
Okay.
Charge. So
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, so coming up on
That was 2016. We started in 2015. So
it's been 8. Yeah,
coming on 9 years.
9 years
Now,
playing
first
together,
show-
Richard.
First show August 8th at Avant Garde, and
Nice.
so when we have that day come this year, that's our 9-year anniversary of actually performing as a band.
That's awesome. What was I gonna say? So like, you were before that from Ottawa and stuff, and like growing up in Ottawa, or you from different cities and stuff? No.
You know, Richard is not from Ottawa. I
Yeah.
moved to Ottawa when I was about 8 years old. So
Okay.
I've done most of my growing up in Ottawa. Before that, I was in Petawawa, which is the Ottawa Valley, which is I'm on the valley now. I'm just inside of Renfrew now. Yeah, a little bit. I'm just from like the GTA.
Yeah, I grew up in this beautiful city called Mississauga.
I know Mississauga.
It's
Yes.
great if you love shopping malls and strip malls and
Yeah.
suburbs galore. There's a shit ton of those, and there's this wonderful little place called Streetsville in the middle of the heart of the city. That's near where I grew up, and that's probably the coolest part of Mississauga. I might be biased, but it's pretty cool.
I grew. I mean, I say I grew up. I lived in Etobicoke for. Like,
Oh yeah,
for,
see,
for,
you
for a
don't
few
even
months.
you don't pronounce the K in that, so you know you're from there.
Oh, Etobicoke? Is that how people say it? Yeah.
Mhm. Well, some people do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But they're not from the area, and it's how it's spelled.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess you both came here, and then like your first. This is like the first band you formed and stuff, or
This is the first
Okay.
band we've been in together.
okay.
Yeah.
I've been in bands since I was 13.
Yeah, okay.
2003 was when I joined my first band. My first band was called Sturkenboom, which was the
Boom.
last name of our grandmother's guitar player's grandmother.
Your guitar player's grandma's name.
Your grandmother's guitar
Word order is
player.
very important, friends.
Followed her around, just like that's followed her around. So
I know every grandmother had a guitar player. It's pretty
then,
cool.
then I've been in and out of ska bands, metal bands. Before joining Positive Charge, I was in a band called Crack in the Case, which is like a thrash ska band.
Wow, thrash and ska together. Okay.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Cool.
And then like Richard's in 1,000 bands now,
Yeah.
and has always been in 1,000 bands.
Why don't you just tell my story for me, buddy?
So Richard was born, and
Yeah, no, I played my first band. I think I was 13 or 14 as well. We were
Yeah, good.
born in the same year, so same time. And we were like together for 4 years, reggae rock band. And then I came to Ottawa. I joined the Dirty 30s shortly after I came here.
Yeah.
I was with Tony and who runs Side by Side now.
Yeah, okay.
And
Cardozo.
Cardozo. Yeah, he was actually in our band.
Yeah, okay.
He was the original drummer.
In 2017, I saw he was in the band. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He left
Yeah.
in 2018.
Okay.
And then in 2019, he's like, "Hey, Rich, you want to play drums in the band that I sing and play guitar for?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I do." So we've been doing that since. But I probably played in like close to like 15 or 20 bands in this Ottawa area. Whether it been like an actual full-on member of the band, like I sub in for like a couple shows, and I'm the bass player for a year or so, or if it's
Yeah.
just, like we do like a off. Our band did a Choking Victor cover set with half of the Tannenbaums or half of. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, it's kind of a
Half
mix.
of Mule Kick because
Yeah.
Duncan was in Mule Kick.
that's right.
R.I.P. Yeah, so we did a Choking Victim cover set at House of Targ one time just for fun, and I've done a shit ton of that stuff, and I play in 5 other bands now. So
Yeah,
insane.
you're playing bass in Caspian, yes?
Yep.
So like, is there like a desire just to like sort of spread your seed everywhere, so to speak?
so to speak. I mean, you're not wrong. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the fun things though, because like I crave music, and like
Yeah.
for the past since November, I think. So it's like currently February, almost the end of February. So the past 4 months, I've been doing 4 or 5 days of music, practicing in our rehearsal space.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like doing a lot of recording stuff and editing, and I don't know, I'm just like very, very busy all the time, and it's all musical and it's the best. So yeah.
Okay. So all right. So it's motivated but by like I can't get enough of it kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And like I play guitar in this band, I play bass in Caspian and 3 other bands, and I play drums in the one that I just mentioned with Tony called Precious Failures.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just got my finger in every pool, and I sing in almost all those bands. So
Cool.
getting
Awesome.
this thing going.
So for Positive Charge, like the formation, you guys came together. I guess with 2 members that are not in the band anymore.
Originally
3.
3, yeah.
Okay.
Technically, you could count 4, but we used to be a 5-piece.
Okay.
And the singer of the band New Elders.
Yeah.
This kind of like where this band spawned from. Say that 3 times fast.
Where this band's spawned from. Yeah, you gotta slow down for a
You
second.
gotta slow down. You can't say it fast. So he was in New Elders with us. He was a lead singer, and he became our lead singer. And we had Cam, our guitar player, Tony, our drummer, and Jordan, who was the last guy to join the band.
Yeah.
And Cam thought he was joining New Elders. And then I was like, yo, I found this like sick bass player. He's really awesome. He's a cool dude. Like, we should have him. The other 4 were like, I don't really know. I'm not sure. I'm like,
They just didn't know me that
they
well.
didn't
you
know. They didn't
Yeah.
know. And then Jordan came. And they're like, holy fuck, like best dude in the band, seriously. And and then we lost Jake, and then we lost Tony, and then we replaced Tony with Eric, and then we lost Cam last year, and we lost Eric last year too.
Okay.
They're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. They
To be clear,
to be clear, they are still alive.
True. If you said you lost, it's like, man, like what's going on with your band? Everyone's dying.
We're not cursed. We're not cursed. Well, not to that extreme. They're alive. They just have other life things that led them astray from us.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
yeah,
cool.
their lives got really busy, and that's what happened with
No
us.
love lost.
The past 6 years of Positive Charge have been not turmoil in a bad way, but like turbulent.
Yeah, there's been
lots of obstacles to overcome.
lots of obstacles, lots of like significant life events for many different people in the band. You know, children were had. I've had one.
Okay.
Cam had a few when he was with the band. Jobs were gained, and careers were shifted.
Moves happen.
Moved happens. Yeah.
This pandemic happened too.
Oh yeah.
Is this in between the was it an EP that was in 2017?
It was a full length
Full-
record.
okay, sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
songs.
Yeah. 12, full 12.
So this is what you're discussing right now. Is like I was going to ask like what happened between 2017 and this new album that's coming out on March 16th.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot has
Okay.
happened, but like writing wise, pretty much nothing has happened because most of these songs / all of them were ready by the time we did that first album.
Okay.
And if they
just
weren't
waiting
ready by the
around.
time we did it, they were ready while we were making it.
Mhm.
So we like
Okay.
had to pick. We had like when we first started, we churned out like 20 songs in our first like 8 months.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
10 months. And
Yeah.
we're just like going. It was so sick. We jammed like twice a week, and it was awesome. And we had to pick. Okay, let's pick 12 songs for our first album, and we did them all, and it's good. And then these 9 remaining songs are what we didn't really get to. We wanted to put it for the second batch.
Yeah. Okay.
And before Cam quit, after Tony quit, we were going to release them as 2 separate releases. That's why the album's called How to Fit In and Why It Matters, because they were going to be How to Fit In as one EP and then
Yeah.
Why It Matters as the other. And then we're just like, you know what, after Cam split and it's been 6 years of making this, we might as well just put this all behind us, put it out together, get rid of it, and we'll start fresh after.
So how to fit in and why it matters. It was a question. Actually, I don't think I wrote it down. So that's not a continuous sentence. Then it's
It kind of is, but it
Yeah.
kind of isn't. It was always intended to be like a dual format release.
yeah.
We just intended to get it out as like how to fit in and Why It Matters. So it'd be like 2 separate little EPs that were released maybe like 6 months. It's kind of like a co-release, but not the same unit. So it was kind of like an A and a B side of the record. Like I thought we might get a tape, and then that'll be like the real like kind of like hey, and then you flip it, and then that's the B side. Yeah.
But do you feel that you're offering advice about how to fit in any of these words?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Yeah. That's the interesting thing is when you asked the question, Jordan started answering. I'm like, okay, well, it's not a full sentence, and me being someone who studied linguistics and like cares a lot about language and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's more like not command literally. Well, yes, literally as the technical term is, but it's like kind of like advice, but we're not actually giving advice.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just advice in the form of a sentence. So to speak.
Yeah, it's interesting because like Richard said, we had these songs established early on in the process, right? Well before the recording process happened, well before we had the name, the art, all that stuff, right? We had the songs kind of just existed as an entity. And we're okay, how can we format this into like a series of releases that we can get out quickly? And then we can move on. But then, life happened and things got slowed down and we kind of had to recontextualize things. How do we put the 9 songs that exist as separate entities into this functional, moldable thing that were coherent because there are songs, like they're not just like all over the place. But well, and there is a distinct vibe between how to fit in and Why It Matters.
Is there? Are you experiencing like metaphorical blue balls, like being waiting this long to release this material?
No comment.
I think that needs to be answered on an individual. Like, yes, for sure. I think it's a long time coming. It's absolutely a long time coming.
Okay.
Yeah. How many bands can say it took them 2 years or 3 years to make their album? Probably a bunch.
Yeah.
How many can say it took them 6 years to make 9 songs that are 21 minutes long?
Yeah. And that has to do with
not many.
Has to do with like an air of I don't know, probably stubbornness on my part particularly. Because if we had more investment capital and we're like, okay, we're just going to pay people to record it, pay people to do the tracking, pay people to do the editing, and then it'll probably go a lot faster. But we decided to do it all ourselves. We did all of the tracking, we did all the editing.
Yeah, okay.
We have our friend Stefan at Kick Me Recordings doing the mixing, and we're going to get it mastered.
So Stefan who?
Stefan from Kick Me Recordings.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah, yes, I know him. Yeah, okay.
This guy just talks at like 3,000 miles
an
hour.
When we said Kick Me Recordings, I thought you were saying someone's last name. I'm like,
that's the last name?
Yeah, we recorded with Stefan Kick Me Recordings. He's a pretty nice dude.
So it has to do with that process of like, doing it all of ourselves while, we lost the 2 members. I went to college in Pembroke. I moved to the woods and had a baby with nothing.
You had a baby in the woods?
Yeah. Literally.
Well, we left the woods to have the baby and brought her back to the woods.
They brought her back to the woods. Let that be noted.
I was
going to say she's currently in the woods while we do this interview.
Correct.
While she's currently not here with us.
Correct.
She's at home with Mama Dukes. Well, his Mama Dukes.
Yes.
Okay.
Not her Mama Dukes, but the daughter.
I don't know what Mama Dukes even means.
Means mama.
I think it's a play on Marmaduke the dog.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Marmadukes, but Mama Dukes.
It's just something you add to the end of thing. Like, when people like in the early 2010s would add like ski to everything. Like, pass me a brewski, dude.
It's a slang
Skis.
suffix.
Yeah, it's a slang suffix.
Gotcha,
Mama
gotcha.
Dukes. Like, it's not a real thing. Like saying Mama Bear,
Yeah, okay, gotcha. But did the recording start in 2018 and it's been going?
Yes, yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
So some of these songs were recorded in 2018, like adding guitars to it later on, like.
It was a process. So we
line?
did the drums. The drums, we did the tracking in Pebble Studios in Barhaven. The New Elders had won some studio time there through a Battle of the Bands.
Man.
Yeah, we won 30 hours and we used, I think, 18 of them because Cam and Jordan met at MIA Recording Industry Arts at that's probably not the acronym, but at Algonquin. So they knew how to do this stuff. So we're like, okay, we're only gonna record the drums because we'll do everything else ourselves.
Yeah.
We're crazy people.
I do the same thing too.
Yeah. So we used our 18 hours to do the first album. We had 12 remaining hours left. So we're like, we contacted Corey Bergeron. We're like, hey, these hours still valid? He's like, but yeah, they are. Okay. So we used them. He opened the door for us, and then you were there. I wasn't there again for the recording of the drums.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So how'd it go?
That was a great process. Yeah, they have a great space, great room there. Cam kind of took the lead on the engineering process behind there, and that man's a wizard. So I think the drums sounded great. Tony did a great job in the performance.
He did.
So it was fun. So Tony's playing the drums on this album.
Yeah, Tony, because like we said, it was March
2018.
Was it March 2018 or February? Between February and April, right?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that makes sense. We did the drums in April, and we did the guitars and bass and drums in March, and then guitars and bass and like within the
couple months after that.
couple months after. So we had most of the stuff done within 2018. Then Tony quit, and then it was just fucking back burner after back burner.
So basically, at the show, Tony's going to be there getting a cut of the money, of course, right?
Well, he is going to be there because Crisis Party is playing.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
So yes, but
he's like, just put an extra $100 in.
$100. You think we're gonna make $100?
I would love if we made $100 off of this record.
We only spent like what? How much money did we spend? How many sessions did we do at Alex Jacobchuk's house?
Four. They're
Four
50
sessions
bucks
at
each.
$50 a day. We went to Alex Jacobchuk's house to go record in his basement.
So that's $200. But then like the rest of it was just lots of time. That if I was getting paid, I'd be paid a lot.
Same,
But we didn't, and that's why we did it ourselves.
because we'd save money.
And we wanted to have artistic control.
That too, and also just DIY till we die, baby.
That's right.
But I also kind of wonder, like, it always seems like drummers kind of like they record their parts and they kind of like let it go out. Like in the band that I'm in, like our old drummer recorded a bunch of stuff and then left, and we were using a lot of it after he left. We had a new drummer, right? Like, so I guess there's like the who's playing drums for you right now?
I thought I was wearing my "Come On Gary" shirt.
Okay,
No, that's Gary from Audio Visceral.
okay,
Yeah.
And does he have like I don't want to say like possessiveness, but like I guess he's trying to match like Tony's like style, or is he trying to like change it up? And
Yes and no.
Okay.
We've had conversations about this with Gary,
yeah,
and it's interesting because there's been some dynamic, because in between Tony and Gary, we had Eric,
Oh yeah, right.
our another drummer, and he again very very talented drummer, but very very different than the style that Tony was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of steered the vibe in a direction, and Gary's like, okay, I kind of want to bring a bit of like more of like the pop punk kind of loose bop that Tony brought to it, but he's also very much like he's not adhering to the parts 100%.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
He's playing them as he feels is like appropriate given the context.
Mm-hmm.
He has access to the recording, so he knows what's happening.
yeah, okay,
And he's a monster. He's so good.
He's really good.
Like I think out of all of the bands I've ever like joined and then like or had been in bands where other members have joined, having that first session where you like sit down and you're like, okay, let's play this song. Like Gary was just like, I got it. And like there was obviously a few things here and there we had to talk about just to like, you're playing with a new musician for the first time, but like he nailed it so hard. He's so good.
And like me, like I said, I played in a lot of bands. I have a lot of experience doing like this. Like I can attest to that too. Like there's been very few times, probably not even any more than this. I'm probably rambling right here, but I think Gary might have been either top 1, 2, or 3 band mates who's joined a band, basically knew everything you're supposed to do. Like
yeah.
some people are like, oh, okay, here's a chorus, here's how this goes, and then we do a pre-chorus on the second chorus. So he's like, no, I'm just playing through it. We got through the song, like, yo, man, it's so good.
He's like, okay. And I feel like that's true because on guitar, Cam Haynes also recorded the guitar parts.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the 2 guitar parts that are on the record, we have Richard doing one part, and then we have Cam doing the other part.
Mm-hmm.
We've hired Summer Sullivan to do
Hired.
Yeah.
You're hired.
Recruited is a nicer word.
Recruiter. She's the best. She's so good. But also
rips.
a very different guitar player than how Cam is, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we don't expect people to like conform to someone else's play style or some like they're different musicians, they're different
Exactly.
people, and we respect that, and we want them to be comfortable and happy doing their thing. And I feel like we have a real like cohesive mesh right
Yeah.
now. We got a great sound, we got a great vibe. We're very happy with where we're at, where we're going.
Exactly. Too long didn't listen. Tony is on the drums and Cam is on the guitar for our album,
Yes.
but neither of them are playing live with us anymore. We got Gary on drums and Summer from Holy Christopher
Yes,
on
yes.
guitar. Lead guitar.
Did she happen to do any harmonics?
Intraharmonics?
Any kind of harmonics?
Yeah, we do. There's parts where we do some harmonics. There's a song
Okay.
where like in this like there's like a little intro and then I do a harmonic and then Cam did it, but now Summer does it.
Okay.
The second harmonic's like dun, dun, and then go right into the verse. So.
I just remember in Holy Christopher that she had done like some
Oh, yeah.
harmonic works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
She might do something. She does more pinch harmonics than regular harmonics.
Yeah, so a pinch harmonic is one that you kind of like force out of a string rather than those normal ones on like on the 7th and 12th fret, right?
Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, with the pinch harmonic, with regular harmonics, you need to hit at the specific spots, like the 5th fret, the 7th fret, the 12th fret.
Yeah, okay.
Somewhere in between. You can get them on the 9th and 8th frets if you hit really hard, but pinch harmonics is when you kind of like you take the pick finger and you let your thumb hit the string like basically right after you hit it, and you have to do it the right spot in between, because the part of the reason why harmonics work is because you got to be in that certain interval between where the string starts and where the string ends. And if you hit the wrong spot, it's not going to work. But if you hit the pinch harmonic in the right spot where the natural harmonic is, add some distortion, sound like Eddie Van fucking Halen.
Who are the writers of the band? Like, or is it just everyone was writing? How did it all work? Or how does it all work?
And this is a story too.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jordan.
In Undergrowth, our first record that we released, there was like a conglomerate of contributions for the record. Like we have, obviously there were New Elder songs that kind of got transposed. So there's writers from writers from the New Elders that aren't in Positive Charge that ended up contributing to that record. There's writers from
every single member of New Elders contributed to one of our songs. On that first album, but I wouldn't say contributed to, because that kind of presupposes that like, you're making our album, let me give you my contribution. It's more like, no, like these songs, we were playing these songs and we just decided to add them to our collection.
Correct.
Because we had three of the members from that band being like, well, let's do it this way. So
yeah. And then also the inclusion of The City, which was originally written as a Dirty 30 song, so it was composed mostly by Devlin Morton.
A little asterisk on this thing, we didn't take from bands that we weren't in before.
That's true.
So Tony, Devlin, and me, were in Dirty 30s. And right before we broke up, we were recording this 5-song EP, and This City was one of those songs. Devlin hadn't written any lyrics for the verse or the beginning. He'd only written the last chorus. This city seems so dead at night. So he wrote that, and then we're like, let's fucking take it. And there was trombone and saxophone as the lead riffs there. So when we took it to our band, we just had the guitars. We'll do some guitar harmony stuff. But
was there any kind of like discussion with them about taking the song?
We asked them. We mentioned them. They said it's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Hey man, can we record the song, put it on our record? They're like, absolutely, go for it. Like, we don't use it anymore. Wow. So now for how to fit in and why it matters. There's only one song on this one that's part of that batch of like multiple contributors.
Oh yeah, yes.
Right. Which is Strike a Pose.
Yep.
The rest of them, besides one more, were written by Richard.
More on that later.
There's a cover.
More on that later.
Yeah.
So some of the songs, when Jake left the band, he had written some lyrics and like they didn't really mesh with the vibe we were going with. So I rewrote some of those lyrics.
Okay.
And Strike a Pose was one of those. He had written actually the chord progressions. And funny thing is, when I was in New Elders, I was a bass player and now I'm the guitar player. So I was like, hey Jordan, here's this fun bass line. And it's fucking not fun. It was not fun for you to learn, was it, buddy?
Oh, I love it though. It's great.
You love it now.
Yeah, I do.
Perfect.
That's hard.
So yeah, we had that song coming, and I decided to rewrite the lyrics while keeping the name Strike a Pose, because it was Strike a Pose at the peril of a gun. That's the only lyric I kept.
Yeah.
And yeah, so other than that song, I've written everything else. Like I think 3 or 4 of these songs are on my solo record from 2018.
Okay. So who's singing on it? Like, you're singing on it. Mm-hmm. Are you singing on it too?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is it your 2 voices that I'm hearing all the time when I listen to it?
Yeah, it's mostly him. There's a bit of Tony on there. We got Tony hopping.
Yeah, Tony came back to do some layered, some harmonies and some parts in there. It's interesting. So there's a dynamic here too, and this has to do with like the membership changing. So like Richard explained how Jake Dunlop was the original lead singer, and when he left the band, Richard took over like the lead vocal duties, and so it was like Jake was doing lead vocals, and then Richard was doing kind of like the second parts, and then Tony was doing kind of like the third vocal harmony, and I would do like a whoa here or there, like barely any vocals at all. Yeah. And then when Jake left, like the hierarchy got shifted up. So
like a gumball machine when you pull one ball out,
the rest all thrown out. So then Richard's doing the lead vocals. Tony kind of took a lot of Richard's parts that he was doing, and then I was doing a lot of Tony's parts that he was doing originally. So I'm like, I have to learn how to sing now. Oh my god!
So you went away for like 10 months to learn how to sing, and then came back.
And so that's how the
woods.
That's how the third, well, I wasn't in the woods for the first record yet. So there were some parts on the first record where like I was in the vocal booth trying to like figure out like how do I even do this properly, and we worked threw that together till we got something that we were happy with, and then
Oh yeah, I remember that. There's like we were like try it again, and then you like just pulled out this like super guttural, awesome fucking go. Like, whoa!
something clicked in
Like,
our
dude,
you know?
like that again. Come on, man, like, that was sick. And then ever since then, he's been fucking soaring like an eagle.
Yeah. And then after originally this batch of songs was part of that first batch of songs. So when Tony left, I ended up taking a lot of his parts, and we actually ended up having to divert. It was originally like a 3-part vocal thing going on. We ended up doing okay, we have to kind of condense these into 2 parts now. Yeah. Because Eric wasn't a singer, so we only had 2 vocalists to do the parts. Cam did a little bit, but
okay.
So it's kind of been a hierarchy up like that.
Who sang the opening in One Life?
Opening in One Life? What do you mean?
Like the opening, like
as the raindrops hit my skin.
Yeah,
that's me. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because it sounded different. Maybe because it was a softer part.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that I was thinking. I don't know. This is a compliment in my head, but it's
getting ready for a backhander, pals.
It sounded like Iggy Pop to me. That's what I was hearing. I was like, did you ask Iggy Pop to like?
Could you imagine?
Do a guest?
Hey, Iggy Pop, we're this like small band from Ottawa, Ontario. Like, I could sing this, but could you?
Okay, yeah.
Now I get a look.
So yeah, actually, he was on the record. Okay. I was claiming it was me, but it's really
that is the new canon. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess like it's a less what's the word I'm looking for? Good, visceral singing. I guess that's what your voice is like when it's not like going you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. And also, how do you guys sing like that? Like, I'm always fascinated by like this kind of punk rock singing. It's like it's melodic, but like it has like that screaming. And like, do you like wear out your voice is doing that, or is it comfortable doing it? Like, I understand that if you learn how to sing right, you can do it all the time or something like that.
And that's been a process for both of us. I think there was a time where like I know when I first got into this process where I was losing my voice a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there were after band practice where me and Richard would both be pretty raw about it. And so yeah, I kind of had to, like I said, I had to teach myself how to sing properly. Now I'm a lot more comfortable with it. But it is a skill, and like a skill needs to be developed, a skill needs to be practiced.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm also a stubborn mule. So I didn't take vocal lessons or anything. I didn't be like, can you help me learn to sing? I'm just like, I'm going to just keep losing my voice until I don't anymore. Figure it out myself. So that probably took a lot longer for me to figure it out than if I had learned how to ask for help like a normal human.
Yeah. And like me, I've been singing a lot on my own. I've taken 1 vocal lesson, and I'm gonna take my next one with Alana Sterling soon. She's gonna teach me how to sing really well.
Oh, nice.
I hope. I mean, she probably will. It's up to me to do it, but I've been noticing my vocals getting better every year. And like, I mean, I've been working driving jobs where I'm like driving by myself, so I sing a lot in the car. But like ever since I started doing FedEx during the pandemic, like 2020, like I'm by myself all fucking day. I'd be driving in the rural areas, so like just singing, listening to music 8 to 10 hours a day, like singing to my favorite songs, like trying to belt as loud as I can, trying to sing on key, and then also trying to practice that rasp, because getting that rasp in there, it took me years to learn. But also I'm just like, even singing at concerts while I'm like trying to sing at the top of my lungs, like that helps too.
But getting the rasp without doing the damage, I guess, right?
Yeah, there's a thing that you can do. It's called a vocal fry. So what you can do is you can train your vocal folds to kind of rub up together, and they can kind of give you this
in a Boston accent.
Oh, it is though. It is.
I thought it was more in New York.
Okay,
yeah, whatever. East Coast doesn't matter. Either way, it's very common in those communities to do this vocal technique, just kind of more commonly and naturally, where you kind of fry your voice like this, and then when you start singing and yelling, you can have the growl without throwing out your voice, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
you need the accent though.
You need the accent, otherwise it's not legitimate.
But yeah, no, the best thing is to sing from your diaphragm and let that be the powerhouse, and use your throat to like clench it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or ah.
Okay, cool.
And that's the fry. And then you can just use it playing with dynamics, keeping your sustaining your breath, breathing with your diaphragm.
Learning to breathe is fucking super important.
Very much so, yeah.
Like breathe properly, I mean. Like breathe.
Obviously, you know how to breathe. You wouldn't be alive.
Hence me.
I found one of the most important things in life is learning how to breathe.
I did that at a very early age.
Okay, so for the song "Beducation,"
okay.
I have like 2 ideas about why it's called Beducation.
Okay.
Maybe 3, but
let's hear all 3 of them.
All right. So actually, one was kind of related. So it's more like 2.5 maybe.
Okay, so 2.5.
So my best guess is that this is education about what happens in the bedroom and in terms of sexuality. Okay, so that's the correct one. Okay, and so then the other ones I was thinking was that maybe bed could be like a standard word for lazy, meaning like restricting topics is kind of like a lazy thing to do, like education topics. Like
Okay.
that's probably a little. Maybe that's okay. I get you guys.
It's a byproduct.
Okay,
It
yeah.
wasn't intended that way, but that definitely fits the narrative.
And then I guess my third idea was not written down. I forget what it was, but it was related to the second one. So yeah, I guess okay. And so like my understanding about this song is that it's about like restricting like sexual education in schools is like a stupid thing to do because basically everyone is a sexual being and is gonna like figure it out on their own anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it sparked. I forget exactly when it was, but like there was like they were gonna change the curriculum, and there was so much backlash that so many parents were pissed.
Is it Ontario you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're currently in Quebec right now, so yeah, it's in Ontario. I forget when it was or who did it, but I should know. But
was it Doug Ford maybe?
It might have been Doug Ford.
Okay.
It seems like a Ford thing to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like I saw that, I'm like, okay, like this is fucked. Like I can kind of see where they're coming from. At the same time, like you need to take your ego and your other shit out of it and like realize like there's serious consequences for not knowing what's going on. Like especially in terms of consent. Like that's the most important thing, and that shit gets breached way too fucking easily. And like even if like someone's like say they're down at first and then they start doing it, and then one of the people's like I'm not into this anymore.
Yeah.
Like the other person needs to know, and that the first person who's not into it might not be like, hey, sorry, can we please stop? They might be too scared to do that. It should be known. Like the person who's doing it should have a good heart and care and knowledge and be like, well, I noticed she's like looking away, whatever the fucking body language is.
Yeah.
Are we okay with this? Do you want to stop? And then she's like, actually, I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah. So just having that kind of education, showing signs of body language. This is usually what consent looks like. This is what it doesn't look like. And if you can teach people those things, they'll have more tools in the bedroom to use.
Yeah. Okay.
And just think at least that's one aspect of this song. But this song has many angles.
There's many, and it's many layered as well.
Like an onion.
Like an onion. Like a good onion. The thing about this song too is it's like unfortunately like still very relevant. You wrote this song a long time ago. This is one of the oldest songs.
This is one of the oldest songs. The music is one of the oldest songs. The lyrics came, I think, like 7 years later.
Yeah, okay.
I wrote this song in 2010, the music in 2010 when I first got into Wilhelm Scream, which anyone who listens to this song will notice right away. But I had no lyrics for a long time, and then I saw that. I'm like, yep, that's the topic, and I went to work.
Yeah, and so if you do that math there, it was like
2018, 2017.
Yeah, and then you look at like if you're paying attention to the news, things that are happening in like Florida and the southern United States, where they're like doing all body autonomy regulations. In terms of I won't go into specifics because I don't want to get too sensitive about it. But either way, like these are still like very very relevant things. I think the song speaks for itself in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and that too, like it's not subtle what it's about. That's it. It's
not subtle at all.
It's not subtle at all. And I feel like it's a reflection of this dichotomy of like there's an aspect of tradition that was like a main element of this like protest against this level of education that just doesn't relate to the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the consequences of trying to enforce these standards on people's lives are too harsh and severe to allow.
Yeah, it's not worth the squeeze.
That's it.
Holding on to what you think is the right idea is not worth the effort of doing what you want to get, and what happens in real life. It's not worth it. That's basically the whole
unnecessary pain and trauma.
Yeah.
There's also a theme about the more that you say like don't talk about it, the more it increases the curiosity. That was another thing that was sort of mentioned in it too.
Yeah, what was that line again? Not that.
Curiosity doesn't dissipate if it's not satisfied.
Thank you. Yeah, curiosity doesn't dissipate if it's not satisfied. So clearly, like, if you're shielding someone from that curiosity or like trying to skirt them away from it, like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, don't push this button. Like, well,
Yeah.
how bad do you want to push it now? You know, like that's obvious. Like you're just like, okay, like don't do this. The more you tell them, don't do this. The more you do that,
Mhm.
just kind of push it back. So maybe you try a more neutral, calm, like.
Yeah.
approach.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be better. You know.
Mhm.
I was gonna grab. I have a drink right there.
All right, take a little brief drink grabbing intermission.
5-second intermission.
And we're back.
And we're back. That was like a 5-second commercial. Okay, so also in that right there in that song, Beducation, there's a breakdown that like starts off with like everyone playing together, and then a guitar in one channel plays a solo kind of thing, and then it plays together. And the guitar in this channel plays it, and then the bass plays it. It's kind of a neat thing. It was it kind of like sort of sharing the solo part for everybody. Anything?
Well, that's it. This is more about the actual like instrumentation songwriting than it is the. And as much as we say things like, yeah, the song was like the contribution from this person is written from this person. When it comes time to actually like establishing how it's performed and played on the record, like that's a very collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Like it's not like here's the song, here's the parts, we're playing them, we're gonna get on tape. It's like here's the song. Often, like a lot of these songs, Richard presented to us as just guitar and vocals.
Yeah.
Parts here and there that were developed over the years. So we're always playing with the dynamics of things in order to give a dynamic, exciting. Like it's punk rock, we want it to be an exciting experience. We want it to be dynamic, and yeah, it's a collaborative process. I think that comes out in the music.
Okay,
And like,
cool.
I'll bring an acoustic version of the song, sometimes with lyrics, sometimes without, and I'll have maybe like an idea or two, but like, okay, it'd be cool if we did like something here like this, or like maybe a little lead riff here, or whatever. But like Jordan said, it's more like here's the song, here's the ideas I have. What do you got for this? But for that specific part you just suggested with the when I wrote it on guitar, it was just so we've got 3 times and a cut.
Yeah.
So there's 3 string instruments. So it's just simple. Slide it right on in, you know. One guitar, second guitar, Jordan's fucking part, and then.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It was just it found itself.
Yeah.
Is there like when the sonic experience is that like bass to center as a guitar right, guitar left, and like with the guitars, there are certain points where one is taking the lead, the other one's taking the lead. Sometimes they share the lead, sometimes they share the rhythm. How is like is that like negotiated? Like how does that?
Richard is panned right, Cam is panned left.
And
Why'd you give our secrets away?
the secret sauce?
Okay, now you know.
No, but I mean, like I guess like you kind of like in the songwriting factory, kind of like, all right, let's play this together. Like how this part right here, I kind of trail off and then how we play. Like how do you decide what's gonna?
Well, in the song First Impressions,
Yeah.
there's a perfect example of this. The second chorus is we have the chorus is pretty similar music wise, but lyric wise, there's a first chorus and a second chorus.
Yeah, so actually, I noticed that there was a lyric change in it. But yeah, okay.
So what we do is the first chorus, we do the first chorus. Second chorus, guess what happens? Third chorus, we do first and into the second chorus. It's a double chorus. So
Wait, it says say that part again. Is this the third
first chorus is first chorus.
Yeah,
second chorus is second chorus.
Is the third chorus again?
Third chorus is first and second put together.
Yeah, it's like a double length chorus, and it's just like one and then the other.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And we kind of like build up every time. The first chorus is just mostly like just chords.
Yeah.
Some little like cool stuff in there. The second time we like ham it up. I do stuff like that. And then the third time we do it. And the very fourth time, the very last time, it's just guitar harmonies going up. So instead of us playing the chords, Cam's playing the root, I'm playing the third, and we're both like sliding up the neck going. And it's just like making that little riff. And like that's kind of an idea that I had. I was like, it'll sound really cool instead of just chords the whole time. Let me just make it really sound melodic and dynamic.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what we did.
We like to play with the music as we're like rehearsing and writing songs and like bringing them into the formation, and even like ongoing. So like even when we bring like Summer and Gary in now, like they're like, oh, we have this idea. It's like, oh, okay, and we can make little changes and adjustments to the live set that are different than the thing. Like it's always evolving and growing, which is really interesting. And we're always happy to like toss around ideas and try them, play with what works, move along from what doesn't work. The songwriting process is a process.
It's a process,
That, we have fun with. We have fun.
Okay.
It's important to have fun, pals.
Absolutely, that's the whole point.
Off the point.
Speaking of the song First Impressions, I noticed that in the first chorus, the lyric was second guesses, and then after that it was second chances.
Yeah.
I imagine that to be like an evolution of guessing is when you first meet the person, and then second chances is when you're searching for that second chance after meeting them, I guess. Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
But it's also like I mean, the song is like, it's kind of like a very literal song.
Okay.
Which is a problem / theme with me. I'll address that. But it's like, it's a cross between like / sort of advice, but also like a description of how things are, like a very literal description. Because one of the reasons, okay, this is kind of a reason why it's literal though. It's because like a lot of people don't think literally. Yeah. And they just go through life like based on their feelings and emotions, and they don't really analyze much. So it's kind of good to give that kind of analysis to people who aren't thinking about that. So that's kind of one of the angles I was coming from with. But it's also it works as a progression, but also like at the same time too, because like you have first impressions and then you get second guesses, like, okay, well, am I sure about this? I don't know. And then second chances is like, well, yeah, I know you're right.
Now you think about it. Like,
now that I think about it, I'm talking like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because I was thinking sort of like second guesses is like when you're literally in the moment with the person, and then the other ones would be like now they've left you, and then now you're looking for the second chance. Anyway, but
yeah, you know what? There you go. I like that.
But sometimes you don't mean it. Sometimes people interpret things that you didn't mean, and then it sounds better than what you were thinking too. You know what I mean?
And the best thing about these things, like, yeah, a lot of the lyrics that Richard writes are like very literal in the context of like how you're thinking about that thing. But like all art, it's interpretive, right? So like what we think is like, yeah, this is a very literal song, which it is. It's going to apply to the context that the listener applies to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless. And I feel like that's a great song. It's like, yeah, you could apply that to yourself. You could take it as advice if you wanted to, but it's not intended to advise you.
Yo, lots of songs and lyrics are like, they present you the whole thing as flesh, but these are the fucking skeletons. You get the bones. You can build your own flesh on it how you want. There you go. How do you like that, Jordan?
Okay, it's a little weird, but I'll take it.
I was like, this is clever. I was not going to be weird at all.
It may be a little morbid. I don't know.
It's not supposed to be morbid.
No, you were like making like flesh golems on bone.
You're making it weird.
Kind of weird things. See, this is what you say something that you don't expect to be presented a certain way, but me as a weird person interpret it into my context of chaos in my brain, and it comes out to be like, I'm like, hey, you didn't think this was going to be weird, but here's how I've interpreted this to be weird.
I was gonna totally put a vote for Kevin, and be like, did I make it weird or do you make it weird? But I don't have to anymore. We know the answer.
9 times out of 10, it's my fault.
9 times out of 10, anything that's smart that's said in our jam room was said by you. So
in this song, okay, so the first verse happens, and then there's kind of like sort of like a lower note riff, and then it's kind of like it's almost like a pre-chorus.
Mm-hmm.
But then the second verse, after the second verse happens, there's like a guitar solo between
real solo
between that and the chorus, which is like a not a typical structure of a song, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was going on with that?
Well, it just came to the way I wrote the song. Because a lot of the ways I write my songs are, I would take my phone, this standard thing. We all know what these are.
Wait, is this my phone right here?
That's yours.
Man, it's been going off. I'm sorry. It's
Dude, I put mine down here so it wasn't going on. Sorry, I take my phone.
I apologize for that.
Go into it, find the voice memo, push record, and just jam. Like 98% of the time, I have no idea what I'm going to play. I just go for it and hope for the best. Not even hope for the best. I just jam it out. First impressions was like, I think 2 versions. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I'm like, okay, I went back to it. And then if you notice that solo that it's over, it's this part that doesn't occur any other time in the song.
Yeah.
It was like the main note, and then instead of going down, it goes up. That
it kind of acts as a bridge, but it's not a bridge, and it's not where a bridge would be in a typical conventional songwriting format. One of the things that I love about Richard's songs, and like the positive chart songs in general, are that they don't adhere to a typical songwriting format. Mm-hmm. We've allowed ourselves to experiment a bit, and like there are multiple songs on this record where that are not even like structured.
Well, they're structured. Can I say frig off on this thing?
Absolutely. That was
There's like no foundation going on here.
Yeah, no. One thing that's like super important to me as like a musician and like someone who listens to music, chord progressions are super important to me. Like I don't mean to sound like a gatekeeper or like one of those like thou shalt not do this, but like I feel like it's not creative if you're like sticking to the 1 5 6 4 like the C G A minor F. Like
Yeah.
anyone can do that. Those songs are so played and so tried and done, but like some bands make it work and make it sound good. But for me, I'm like that's cheating. Following that shit, that's cheating. You know
what?
I want to make cool, different chord progressions that you aren't going to hear normally.
You want what's really funny? I think I used that phrase one time, describing the chord progression. Like, to keep it simple, I'm not gonna use the ones and all that stuff, but like let's say C G A F.
Yeah, that's 1 4 1 5 6 4.
Yeah. Okay. So that one right there, I call that progression cheating.
Yeah. So there you go.
But I use it for one song. But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, if you listen to like, I know there's a huge trend on YouTube when I was in high school of like
exactly
Apocalypse Canon D-Rant or like the Axis of Awesome will be like, here's like 4 chords and we'll sing 100 songs over these 4 chords.
Yeah.
And like when you listen to those videos, you're like, wow, and all these songs are actually quite diverse. And I think there's like a place for experimentation, or like those forms are so tried and true for a reason. It's because there is this like fundamental a mode of structure behind these things, and like people are like, well, these are the kind of things that people are going to relate to. We can use this and manipulate them in these subtle ways in terms of like melody and like tonal quality and like effects and stuff like that to make them our own diverse things. And if you can take those things and make it a unique experience at this time, good for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's hard to do that. Absolutely. Like you said, there's some bands that make it work. Those bands that make it work
definitely
are tapping into an aspect of those formulations that just weren't tried before. I think there's aspects of music theory in general that are untapped in a lot of conventional music that you hear a lot. And keeping in mind, when we say music theory, we mean like the music theory that was like standardized by white
Europeans.
men in the 18th century or so. There's
Quite
a lot,
specifically the Italians, because
and the Germans though.
Every single musical term is Italian.
Oh, the terms are Italian, but I'm talking about like if you look at like things that were like really standardized by people like Bach and like Beethoven and stuff like that. There's lots of German, Austrian kind of vibe in that. Where like there's a world of music out there, like that.
We don't use quarter tones.
The way that we talk about music, like when Richard says, "Oh, we use this as like 1 5 6 progression," or we use these progressions, whatever.
1 5 6 4. Come on.
Those are taking those terms and applying them to new music that we're trying to create, but there's so much music that exists out of that context.
Oh yeah.
And I think we're living in a day now where we have more freedom to experiment and have that outlet because music's so much, I want to say, easier to make and more accessible to people.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That we're able to break those conventions in our own way.
Fair enough. But also, you mentioned music theory. Someone like I love music theory. I love it. I care about it so much. When I'm listening to a song, I'm listening for like, how are they applying music theory, whether they know or not what they're doing?
Yeah.
And that's another driving factor to make me like, I don't want to fall into this boring like 1 5 4 4 like, you know.
It's a language.
It has its time and place. It does, but like, not to say that we don't have those things, because like some of our songs have symbols like what is it? Well, Jake wrote the song "Homemade Clarity." That's just the same thing. It's 6 4 1 5.
Oh, we made it work.
Yeah, we made it work. It sounds good.
Dynamic.
It's got us dynamic, but like, you're not gonna find that too much on how to fit in and why it matters. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a quick analog to like film. There's something that they say where there's only 10 stories. Like they're all Hamlet or Romeo and Juliet with different characters and different contexts or whatever. And I feel like the same can be very true with music. And the more we like,
it's 12 notes.
Exactly. Like music is a language. We have this context where it's like, these are what you got. And like, there's a book by Daniel Levitin that's The World in 6 Songs, where he kind of breaks down this kind of thing. There's like these 6 kind of formats and structures are pervasive through so much popular music, and not just in the terms of the chord structure, but in like theme and like and melody and like that kind of stuff. And we just have so much more opportunity as people that like we're not an institutionalized system. Like we're not like we're in a record label. We have to conform to these standards. We're not part of the, like this is why we want to be as DIY as we can. We want this artistic freedom. Like we can just do whatever we want. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe an analogy would be like if you eat pizza and lasagna, they're both going to taste very good, but are you really getting that much variety and flavor?
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, you see, you've got first of all with pizza, you've got bread, and then you put a sauce on it, and then there's cheese, and there's like usually some kind of meat or other toppings.
Yeah.
With lasagna, you've got like that bread base, and you've got some sauce, and then you've got cheese, and then you put something like meat on it. Like it's totally different. It's totally different.
Exactly.
And there are so many different kind of like shapes of pasta that kind of like change how much the sauce is distributed.
I was
There's
joking,
different
but-
types of herbs and elements that you can add to it.
Okay,
So
you know-
you would have like it's pasta, it's tomato sauce, it's cheese, but you can change it up.
You know what a lasagna is? It's like a 4, 5, 6, 7 layer pizza cake. Because it's basically they taking your pizza, the bread, the sauce, the cheese, the toppings, whatever you put in lasagna, and then you do another layer, and then you keep doing that. It's like a pizza hotel.
And then as cuisine grows,
That's a song idea right there.
The pizza hotel. The pizza hotel. And then now you have dessert pizzas, you have breakfast pizzas. Right now it's a concept more than it is an actual thing. And I'm sorry to all the Italians that are listening to me say this, but it's true. Like we live especially we're in Canada.
How many ways can we make bread, sauce, cheese, and meat go together?
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be bread, sauce, cheese, and meat. Now you can use like cookies and frosting and stuff, and you can just have it in a pizza format and still call it a pizza. And pizza is a concept more than it is a structure of ingredients at this point.
Kevin, are we here to talk about pizza theory, or are we here to talk about music?
Who wants to order pizza right now?
Don't threaten me with a good time. My tattoo's throbbing right now.
Okay, I was gonna ask. So on the song First Impressions, to go back to
First Impressions. From pizza to First Impressions, I love it.
well, okay, so what was there ever like a situation where you gave a bad first impression and you like struggled to redeem yourself?
Me?
Or
Never had a bad first impression.
So this is like this is in your head. You're just like you imagine somebody giving a bad impression and you wrote about it.
It's hypothetical. It's not based off of a specific situation.
No, that's specific. But I mean, I just imagine like the general feeling inside you. Maybe no.
This song was just. I'm trying to answer your question here.
Yeah.
Not quite sure specifically what you're asking, but I did not write this song based on like a specific experience.
No, not necessarily like a series of experiences.
There was no specific or number of experiences.
I think I have.
It was just a general.
I have an idea on how to contextualize this. Maybe so. Like, say when you meet a new person, how much is it? I'm leaving a first impression on this person on your brain.
How much? What?
How much? Like, when you meet a person for the first time, are you thinking like I'm leaving an impression on this person for the first time?
Me?
And are you changing your behavior based off of that? Yeah. Just as a generalization.
I mean, I try to be myself in every context, always. I kind of can't help myself, too. I'm kind of graced by that ability. I don't want to call it ability, but...
But why'd you write the song if you don't feel this way yourself?
It's because it's like a social...
social commentary.
Thank you. I was going to say description, but commentary is a much better word.
But social commentary, but you don't relate to your own social commentary.
That's what I'm saying.
So maybe it's ironic in that context.
That's not what I'm saying.
The line in the song that comes to my head is now wearing your mask with your best foot forward, right? Because people do that. People are like, I'm going to set myself up to be like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to impress people, right? I want to be people are getting phones, just setting a status symbol. People are going to look at me and be like, oh, this guy's a phone. This guy's driving a cool car. This guy's got like some cool glasses or whatever. He's got a nice haircut. I have an impression of this person based off that aesthetic now. When that's not necessarily what it should be. Once you talk to that person and you learn about them, you don't know how or who they are until you break that barrier.
Yeah.
In a way.
But I mean, when the lyrics are first impressions, second chances.
Yeah.
There's an implication that the first impression was a bad one, not one that was like...
Well, I mean, it's like I said, sorry to interrupt you, but like I said, it's supposed to be a general thing. There's no specific thing. It's just general, like basically like, I mean... Let me go off on a small tangent here. Like I feel like society kind of like doesn't really value the right things. They care more about like things that they feel and see, and that can get in the way of meeting people and having a genuine interaction because they'll think like, oh, this guy's trying to be like this. I don't know, but again, like I said, it's general. It's super general. It applies across the whole thing.
Yeah.
And going back with what you said, what were you saying? What was the lyric you referenced again?
Wearing a mask.
Wearing a mask. Yeah. So. Like you said, does this apply? Like this doesn't apply to my own song. Like, well, I mean, like I said, I try to be myself in every context I try and do. But if there's specific context where like I need to try and like I'm meeting someone like it's like for example a job or like if you're like if you're like trying to like talk to like someone who's like a high ups level in the artist industry, you don't want to like maybe you put on a slight mask just to be like, I don't want to seem like an idiot. I don't want to say like the stupidest things I'm gonna think of, but like, I don't know. There's a whole scale of things, and a lot of people put the mask on so when they don't need to. It's all context based. It's all context based. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. I gotcha.
Maybe it makes sense, but I'm probably not making sense of it while I'm speaking right now.
No, I just there seems to be like a discussion in the song. Sorry, I don't remember I didn't write down the actual lyrics. Like,
okay.
But that there was like this sort of like once you make this first impression, you can like sort of like restrict yourself and sort of like you made this first impression and it's not who you really are, and you're trying to like sort of like, I don't know how to say, fix it, I guess.
Well, I mean, there are contexts where you don't present the true self that you are, or like someone misinterprets what you mean.
Yeah.
And depending on depending on the situation, I'm not going to give a specific example right now, but like say you say something and you meant to say one thing and the person interprets what you said as something else,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, and then they react to it in a specific way, and you realize that the way they're reacting isn't congruent with the type of reaction that should have been elicited based on what you said, because you meant to say one thing and they heard another thing, and you realize, holy shit, they heard B when I meant to say A, and I didn't mean to say B, whether it's actually a bad thing or just a generally not the thing I meant to say. You kind of like, okay, let's recalibrate. Here's what I meant to say, and then go from there. And then sometimes you dig yourself deeper sometimes, like trying to do that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
The way that I imagine it, and like I've always kind of had this, again, like I said earlier, art belongs to the listener. You can interpret it. It'll apply to you in your life in whatever way it is. For me, ever since like really like learning these songs and like thinking about them, it's like every time I meet someone, I'm just like, I don't know this person, even though I just met them. Like, oh no, we just met today.
Mm-hmm.
I have an idea of like who you are and your demeanor and your charisma and stuff, but I don't know you on like a personal, I want to say intimate level. Well, not like intimate level, but like on an intimate level.
Whoa, hang on, where's this podcast going?
I don't know.
The night is young right now. Yeah.
Yes,
It's only going to be through like a continuous series of interaction and communications that we can like be like, I think I actually really know who you are.
Yeah.
And like you can give off like a wicked first impression just because of the vibe of the situation. Like say you're at a concert, or like say you're at a coffee shop and someone drops their coin. You're like, oh, I hate it when I drop quarters too. Like, I don't know. It's just
say the right
whatever,
thing
you say the right thing at the right time. You can do that. You say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like, oh, fucking quarters are stupid. Like, what? Why would you say that? Like, I don't know. Like,
I love
you never
this
know what
quarter.
you say. Like, I'm a quarter enthusiast. I'm a coin collector. Fuck you. You just insulted my entire life's care. Like, you know, like you never know. So, like I said, it's meant to be general because you never know who the fuck you're gonna meet. You never know how they're feeling. You never know what context is going on. So it's meant to be super, super general. And like one thing Jordan said was like the song belongs to the listener. And I used to kind of be like, no, it's not, because this song was written in to be like openly interpreted and for the listener like that. But some songs aren't. Like Selling the World, for example. That song is not open for interpretation.
What was the name of the song?
Selling the World.
Okay.
That song is specifically about how we humans are destroying this earth for our own general by our own, I mean the select rich few. And
not positive
technically
charge.
Also not is positive charge a rich few, Jordan?
No, that's what I'm saying.
So there we go. In case your listeners
I thought
were
you not funded by an oil company? No, okay.
No. We're funded by a different kind of energy company.
Positive.
Yeah, no. Now you distracted me.
Sorry.
Okay, so in that song though, it's very
yeah.
hard to misinterpret it because it is very
but
literal.
What the point I'm getting at is, if the song belongs to the listener, then technically they're allowed to interpret whatever they want from that. And the way I wrote that song was specifically, this is the main thing. And if you're interpreting something else, sure, you can. That's up to you, but you're missing the point.
But at the same time, like, so you have no control. Like
exactly.
Like you can say this one is open for interpretation and this one isn't, but in all fairness, they're both open to interpretation, regardless.
Absolutely, it's the way that the songs are written that like allows that scope. It's not Richard on the microphone right now. This song, don't interpret it. This one you can. Like, there's no written rules to it, right? It's in the way that they're written.
Yeah.
That allows that scope to exist. First Impressions is written in a way where there's more possibilities for interpretation versus Selling the World where there's fewer opportunities for that to happen because of the way the lyrics are written.
Do you remember me saying that, like, I said A and you interpreted B?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of thing I'm getting at. I meant to say one specific thing, and if someone else hears something that I meant, something else that I didn't mean to say, then that they're missing the point of that song. But with First Impressions, I'm not saying A. I'm saying the words I'm saying are meant to be any kind of thing. They're not one specific thing. Like if I say get me a beer from the fridge, and you come back with your cat, I'd be like, dude, you missed the point. You interpret this the wrong way. I'm sorry. Not like literally, but like in a way. But like if I say like, hey, bring me something, and you come back with something like, the something you brought fits in the category, the scope I meant to say.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the thing I'm getting at.
Okay, gotcha.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense totally. I think it's a funny, like, I'm not suggesting you actually do this, but if you like, before we played a song, you say like, this song is open to interpretation, and then you say like, this song is literal.
This song is not open to interpretation.
Well, you'll see some artists who will go up and be like, this song's about a girl I used to know or whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll like tell you the context that of the story that you're about to hear versus like, we don't typically do that. Sometimes we do.
We've never written a song about a girl.
No. But sometimes we'll say this song's about this, and then we'll play the song.
Yeah.
No, we haven't.
No.
Not positive charge. Not yet.
That's okay.
The night is still young, no?
Night is still young. I guess what I'm trying to get at is sometimes you intend to be vague and sometimes you intend to be specific.
Yeah, definitely.
If you are being specific and someone is off the thing of what you meant with your specificity, then that's where Selling the World falls into that category. But if I'm speaking generally, purposely, you could write a song like you said, something about a love song. You could write I could write a song about a partner of mine or an ex-partner or someone I'm interested in, and I could make it as specific. I could use the word she. I could use her name. I could use specific things, clothes she's wearing, events we've had, or I can make it vague as hell. And the more vague I make it, the more open to interpretation it can be, because it's like, I love you. I love the way you look. I love the way you smell. I love the way you make me feel. Like all those things that can be interpreted to a cat, to a best friend, to a parent, a family member, like an idol, anything. It doesn't matter. But like if I say the way your blue hair looks in the sun. Ashley, you're the beautiful one. Like, I don't know. Like, if you think of like your brother like that way, like it's not gonna fucking work. So, I guess we're going on a tangent here, but
no, it's a good tangent about like the meaning of the words you use. I feel like the less specific you are, the more open the interpretation.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Exactly right. And so, like, you could say like, yeah, it's a little bit on purpose, but it's also like a song is like a micro story.
Yeah,
in a way, especially the way that like you tend to write lyrics,
that can be.
Which is tends to be the case. It makes people think. They like it. That's all that matters.
That's one thing I want to do. I want to make people think.
As speaking of micro stories, trying to do a little segue here. I'm just writing down the actual
good.
I
think I know what this is going to go to.
You think you know what's going to go to?
I'm guessing.
All right, well, we'll see what happens here.
I will give my genuine face reaction.
Okay, so there is a large gap in song length, ranging from from 33 seconds with Screaming in the Dark to over 4 minutes with Push. Was this a conscious decision or just it was, yeah? What's the story behind like having something just be like then have something to go on for like 4 minutes? Like,
well, I mean, like I told you, the way I write my songs, I play them on my acoustic guitar.
Yeah,
and the song "Selling the World," that specific song,
it's pretty short, right?
It's short. It's 55 seconds on the record, and I wrote that song. It's one of those songs that was I recorded it, like just made it up on the spot, which is why it's so sporadic. There's like very crazy chord progressions. There's no single thing. Nothing repeats. And I listened back to it. I was like, this is excellent the way it is. So that was one of the songs where I'm like, actually, no, guys, these are your parts. This is how the song goes. We're not trained. It's rigid. And it was written that way. We didn't want to extend it. We didn't want to shorten it. And so I'm like, Push. It's just like more of a folk song. And like, it's just like poppy and like, it follows a simple progression. It's 1, 4, 5, minor 5, 4, flat 4, and then 1, 5. So it's kind of simple, but like that's the kind of feel it is. You know, if that song were short, it wouldn't work. But like, I'm a big fan of short songs, especially short punk songs. Like, there's an album by NoFX called "Fuck the Kids," and the way they did that, that kind of inspired me a lot because what happened was Fat Mike the night before, he would write like a bunch of songs. He might have been doing drugs, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he would give himself a time limit for each song. He'd like write like a short song, and then the next day he'd have the studio booked and tell his bandmates to come. And they'd be using different equipment, not their own equipment. The intention was to make a shitty sounding punk record, but like a cool shitty sounding punk record.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs are really short too, and I'm like, these songs are good short. And I kind of like found like a affiliation, like a love for like songs that are short. So I'm like, let's do that. So Screaming in the Dark is one of those short songs, and like it's like a silly story I made up of nothing that exists. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to sing really fast.
Yeah, no, like in a band I'm in is like
which band?
This band Bonova Backlash.
Yep.
We had a song that's like 45 seconds long, and like when we first like getting members together, someone was like, "Yeah, let's extend that song to 3 minutes," and it's like, no, there's nothing more to say. Like it's
That's exactly it.
yeah, it's like it's super like there's you can drag it out and go, but it's like there's nothing. You're just like wasting everyone's time basically by that point.
I think it's like the same thing like a short story versus a novel. I'm making a lot of weird, like different types of media comparisons.
See, I told you Jordan says smart fucking shit.
It's like a pizza slice versus lasagna, you know?
If you can, we want to be working with songs and giving the songs what they need to be as complete as they need to be. Like, if we feel like it's only a minute long, it's only going to be a minute long. If we were like, oh, this is clearly a song that needs to have a bit more length to it in order to like go through these phases of the dynamic of the song, we'll do that. We don't want to limit ourselves one way or the other because there is that like radio friendly format, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. If you're outside of that, we won't touch it, you know? And there's a lot of that influence on popular songwriting, especially from like the 70s onwards, where they're like, people are aiming for that high bar of we're going to be on the radio, we're going to be popular. We need to have songs that people are going to listen to, and we're going to have songs that record labels are going to want to hear. And then a lot of times in that context, we'll have record labels actually directly influencing the length of the song. We're cutting this out, so that it fits this format. And you just go, okay, thanks. Us existing outside of that framework as much as we do will give us some freedom, and we don't want to lose that.
No, and it goes hand in hand with what I was saying before. I'm like, I don't want to have boring, overused. That's not a real word. Reused, overused, like non-creative. Like they're not bland, but they're like non-creative. This is creative. Short songs are creative. Like it's hard to make a song that's like that sounds good. That's short. That like.
Especially outside of the context of like punk music. I feel like that's something that's not like specific to, but tends to be like a punk centric format. Which is like obviously we're inspired by, like you're saying, you're talking about an FX record. We're inspired by punk music and metal music in general. Those influences won't leave us. So when I say like, oh, we have this opportunity to branch out, it's like we are the amalgamation of our past experiences, and we're just presenting that in a musical format.
And we can like try and do our own fun shit, but like we'll branch out if we want to, and if we don't want to, we won't. Then
that's art.
That's art, baby.
There's good things we like and sound good.
The song "The Fear."
I was going to talk about that earlier.
Shorty.
So okay. So my listening of this song this sounds like a question of like, you're living in this city, or I guess like in this province,
the country,
based on where everyone's from and stuff, like in this general area, you know, this part of the world. And feeling pretty negative about it because of the weather.
Yep.
And there being a part of like saying, why do we live here? And then the response is because it's our home. It's kind of like a negative turn into a positive. Do you care to elaborate on the lyrics of this song?
I'll elaborate very nicely on these lyrics. I mean, we got how much time do we have? I mean, I know we've got like a while, but like I'm not gonna ramble too much. But so I used to read gas meters for a living.
Say that again?
I used to read gas meters for a living.
Is that when you like stick the thing in the gas? Like
No. No.
So how does that work?
So basically, do you have an account with Gasifair? Like, do you have a gas meter?
Oh, those kind of gas. Sorry, something like a gas station. Sorry. Okay.
No.
We used to go to people's backyards and
Anywhere, wherever the hell anyone has any gas meter that needs to be counted, because the way they figure out the billing is they have dudes come around and read. It's constantly going up. The meter is constantly going up. So say we come on November 12th, it says this number. You go up, type it in, boom, go to the next one. Then 2 months later, if it's in Ontario, it's 2 months, and Gatineau, it's 1. The number goes up and they record it, whatever. So wherever there's a gas meter, whether it's at the front of the house, side of the house, back of the house, somewhere hard to find on this multi-building university or something like that, you got to find it. So we work year round. I did this job for 7 years.
Oh man.
And I did a lot of shitty winters.
Yeah.
A lot of times where like you're trudging through 2.5, like you're in the suburbs and you're going up their driveway and they didn't salt it. So you're slipping and you're falling it down. And then you get back up, you walk over to where the stairs are and you have to go over this mound of snow to walk 30 steps all the way up to their gate. And oh shit, there's 2 feet of snow. The gate's not opening and the meter's back there and you're not getting paid for your read because that's how it works. So anytime the summer would end and the spring would come, I'd be getting this like deep fear inside me, like I'm gonna have to be outside for 10 hours a day because the days are longer, they're shorter, longer. They suck more. You're colder. You're hating everything. You're not getting as much money. You're falling. Everything sucks. It sucks so much. I did 7 years of that and it took a big toll on my body and on mine. So I used to hate winter before, but now like I despise it. And
but you used to hate winter before, but now you despise it.
Before I did this job, I hated winter.
Oh,
now
gotcha.
I despise it because it gave me like so many reasons to hate it even more. Like there was times where like I'm making like 60% of my pay because I can't reach.
So you sorry.
I'm gonna
Okay.
call.
Sorry, here's some noise again.
Yeah, Zane from Faith is calling me right now.
Okay.
So that's the long backstory. But I'd be like, okay, this song is about anyone who lives in a cold climate that like has to battle dealing with cold and anything that comes with it, and specifically when we're in Canada here, so September and October come around.
Yeah.
The negative parts were just what I described, but like there's also positive parts because I love living here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna leave. I still kept doing it. Still had my thing, and like why do we live here? Because it's our home. Like it's also kind of like an anthem because like we wear that as a badge of honor. Like we battle this cold. Like there's so many countries in the world where like, oh my god, it's 10 degrees. It's so cold. We're like, are you fucking kidding me? Spend 2 months at -20 and tell me how you really feel. Like, so we wear that as a badge of honor, and it's like something that's a point of pride. So it's not just for.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, you got some.
Wait a second. Hold on a second here.
Oh, I know what to do. Oh, I don't.
Maybe not. Wait. Well, anyway, you can try it out. Wait. Try going like that. What? How did you do that? Yeah, I wonder. Right?
No. I can just hold it for now. The cat's upset too. So it's a point of pride. It's not just for anyone who's a Canadian or whether it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
If you live in cold weather and you like where you live, that's basically who it's about. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess I didn't need to elaborate that long, but
Spoke from the heart. I think the weather is always one of those things. Like, doesn't matter who you are. That's an ice. There's a pun. That's an icebreaker. You know, you can always talk about the weather.
Yeah.
And the worse the weather is in the winter, the more you can go. Like, you know, go to a store you've never been to, be like, how about that weather? And they're like,
Yeah, was it
very relatable.
I have a friend from Egypt, and he's always like he marveled about like how like much we talk about weather here because like in Egypt it's like pretty steady all year round.
well, yeah, it's because they're right by the equator.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, exactly. He's like you guys talk about weather all the time here. I'm like, I didn't even notice. I'm like,
Because you never know what you're gonna get up here. You know, it's like
That's the thing about like where we are. Like, we're up north. Like there's a lot more. The further north or further away you go from the equator, the more fluctuation you're gonna have in daylight.
To a point.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, to a point.
because once you get to the top,
Yeah, obviously. I'm talking about. That's why I said further away from the equator you get, because once you get to the North Pole, you continue going that same direction. You're getting closer to the
well,
equator.
though, even as you approach the North Pole, you know, you hit that point where you get into like the Arctic tundras. Those don't have a lot of fluctuations because of
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, what happens if you're like on like the I guess the South Pole? What kind of sun do you get all year round? What happens?
You get no sun for the summer, our summer,
Yeah.
and you get hella sun for the winter.
Yeah.
So when you're at the actual pole,
Yeah.
because I think the North is just water. Wait, the North Pole has water, and the South Pole actually has the Antarctic. I think.
Yeah, so the Antarctic ice sheet is actually on land.
Yeah.
Right? So all the ice is on land, and then in the Arctic it's all ice, but the ice is on water. So that is true, but it has to do with the 23-degree tilt of the axis of the Earth.
Yeah.
That dictates that. Because if it was just straight up and down, then it would be like 50% each day. But because of the axis, the tilt of the axis, it does vary. There are places like if you live in Scandinavia has notoriously like a couple months of the year where it's just like the days are like half an hour.
Now you want me to fix this?
Yes, please. But yeah, there's a lot of us.
Boy, this. So what happens is that it only goes one direction. So right now it's up, and you can move it down, but you can't go backwards.
I tighten this guy, so probably.
I don't think it's going to change anything. Oh, that's going to change the angle. So it's right there. Oh,
there we go.
Okay, cool.
That'll work.
Cool.
But yeah, so I mean, basically, long story short, like, say this is the sun and it's summer.
Yeah.
The North Pole is pointing toward the sun, so they're gonna get like days, or weeks on end where it's fucking sunny. But now you're here, it's wintertime. The North Pole is pointing away from the sun.
Yeah.
So they get minimal sun.
Yeah.
So the closer you are to the equator, the more likely that's gonna happen. To a point, like Jordan said, though. Good point. Anyways, the fear.
It's about the weather.
So, do you guys experience stage fright when you play?
Not anymore. I've been performing for a long time. There's always like fright. There's always nerves.
Yeah.
There's always excitement. Very rare on the cusp of like I'm excited. I love it. It's like I know when I'm up there, it's gonna be like as close to bliss as I can get. And that comes with experience too. The first time I was on a stage, like I said, I was 13.
Yeah.
That was nerve-wracking then, but again, it's a skill. It's a skill to be on stage. It's a skill to be like, I'm presenting now versus not. And once you're comfortable in that context, you're only going to get more comfortable. It becomes easier every time.
I can agree with that, but also sometimes sort of disagree. And for me, it's specific. It's about how well I know the material and how well I know what I'm about to do.
Yeah, okay.
I've forgotten lyrics on stage a whole bunch of times, and that makes me nervous as hell. So when I'm about to go on stage, I sometimes get nervous. I'm like, am I going to fuck the lyrics up? Because that's embarrassing, and I hate doing that. So that's what makes me nervous. Other than that, I'm fucking stoked as hell. Can't wait to get on. Like, when I play with the band, the Dive Tones, I'm bass and backups. So I don't play a lead role, so I'm just following. So I'm stoked as hell. Hop up on there and do my thing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to mess it up. With Positive Charge, I'm lead role. So, like, there's that little thing in the back of me. I'm like, well, if I fuck the lyrics up, it'll fucking snowball into him, and he might fuck them up, or he'll save me. There's been times where he saved me. But anyways, if I'm by myself, solo acoustic, I get nervous sometimes because I'm like, I got no one to save me. So
I should also ask, Positive Charge, what is the meaning of this name?
It's multi-layered, like a good onion.
Like every good onion is multi-layered.
That's right.
how about cake? I love cake.
So we mentioned early in the interview that the original name that we settled on was Pistols of Dawn. And when we were coming up with a name, I feel like coming up with a name for your band is one of the hardest parts about being in a band. Richard's gone through this very recently.
I hate it. I was in 2 bands for and
it is super
2 of my
important.
bands last year spent the majority of the year finding a name, and I can tell you the Dive Tones went through probably 1,200 names, whether they were joke names or real names.
Yeah.
We finally got like, what about the Dive Tones?
I think half the struggle is it is an important thing. Most of the time when like people see you for the first, they're just going to see your name like on a bill.
Yeah.
And they're going to infer a lot. So we're talking about first impressions. The first impression you leave as a band is just the band name. And then people are going to be like, what's this band? And the way that you structure your name is going to tell you a lot. Like, oh, we're Cattle Decapitation. It's like, well, yeah, that's a death metal band. That's going to be brutal as hell. Versus like, oh, we're Rainbow Sunshine Power. It's like, okay, that's probably going to be not that, you know? Like you can infer a lot from the name of a band. So when you have that knowledge of the weight of that, it's hard to make that decision. And we went through this process early on when there were 5 people. We would suggest a name. One person wouldn't like it. And they'd be like, okay, let's try something. We should pick something we all like. And by the time we got to Pistols at Dawn, I was the one who didn't like it. I was like, I don't think we should be associating ourselves with gun violence, and people are going to think we're cowboys, and that's going to be weird.
Yeah,
and,
true.
We don't care. It's a Simpsons reference.
That's
It's
fine.
fine.
It's a Simpsons reference. I'm like, okay, fine.
That's a
it's
freaking like
Simpsons
death metal
reference.
country band or something. I don't know.
And then, they're like, Pistols at Dawn, you guys like a country
Well,
western band? I'm like,
partner,
no,
it's
we're
gonna
not.
be Pistols at
There
Dawn.
there were multiple times where after we had decided that, where people were like, oh, you guys are a country western band? I'm like, no, we're not a country western band. And like, I'm like, it's still like, I'm still not liking it. And there were, at the time, and continually like still like lots of gun violence events in the world that come up in the media. And like it's tragic. I'm like, I don't want to be associated with this, you guys. Like this was my concern at the time, and I let it slide because I thought I was overthinking it, but I don't think I am anymore.
No, you weren't. You weren't.
And there
You
came a
absolutely
time
weren't.
where, a couple of the other members of the band started thinking about it. They're like, I think you might be right. I think we probably shouldn't be associating ourselves with this. Also, one of those things like, you go on Bandcamp and you see like people search Pistols at Dawn and you're the fourth one on the list.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not the best either,
What I've learned is you need to pick 2 or 3 important things. One, your band needs to be fucking spellable.
Yeah, that's an important part.
You don't want fucking something like, oh, how do you spell that? Like that.
Yeah, that's bad
Cool.
news.
You want it to be unique, so it's not like, oh, what is this? Like, oh, it's like, which one are you? And then you want it to be catchy. So then people are like, oh, that's sweet. Like, yo, okay, I'm intrigued. What is it called? Clickbait. Like clickbait. You put the gap, the curiosity gap. Put that curiosity gap in them.
Yeah, okay. And then the third thing is oh geez, what was it? It was lost my train of thought. Okay, so you don't want it to be repeatable.
What?
Like
Yeah.
you want other bands to have the same name as you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So before I was in Positive Charge, I was in a band called Bull Domino. That band was just like one of our members looked at a band name generator and like just kind of like took 2 words from the giant list of names, like, oh, Bull Domino sounds kind of cool. Let's go with it because like, no one else is called Bull Domino. Let's do it. We're done. For Positive Charge, we did put a lot more thought into because again, we already had this name and we decided that we wanted something that kind of like reflected more about the personality of the members and the personality of the bands. And like, there's not a specific distinct message that we're trying to get out, but there's a vibe we're going for.
Yeah.
Originally, the name that was suggested was Positive Polarity. This when we were brainstorming, spitballing ideas, that was campaign.
That
What
sounds-
about Positive
that-
Polarity?
That sounds like a metal band.
I'm like, I like the idea, but I feel like maybe Positive Charge means like not exactly the same thing from like a science perspective, but like it's a similar concept. And while it does have a very specific meaning, it can be interpreted as like, yeah, it's a positive charge. It's going to give you energy when you listen to it. We want to give you energy because we're energetic people. Which is also like, if you've seen our performance live, we're very energetic people when we play. That's like our outlet for that. So we felt like this reflects us as artists. This reflects us as a band. It has a catchy name. There's no other artist that we can find named Positive Charge at this time. Let's run with it. It ended up working out for the better. We like it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Sweet.
And there's your answer.
Cool. Well, thank you all for joining me and having this chat.
Hell yeah.
Any final thoughts?
When's this airing?
It'll air before. So you guys are doing your album release show. Okay, do I call it an EP or is it an album?
It's an album.
Okay.
It's an album. We got 10 songs on there, but
Yeah.
it clocks in at 21 minutes.
Oh,
so-
I should also mention though, there was one song on the album that it sounded like you guys used like a different songwriting method. There's a song called "Blackbird." It was a very, very unique song.
Right, yeah. So
Yes.
here's how we did this.
Richard and I wrote this song when we were living in London in 1965
Oh,
under
shit.
alter egos. At the time, I was known as Paul McCartney and Richard was known as John Lennon. At that time, we had 2 other previous members, our good friends George Harrison and Ringo Starr on guitar and drums versus our current Context members. And we wrote this beautiful song about the looming inevitability of death and the freedom that it provides to the burden of having a physical body.
The bird.
And it's called Blackbird, and it was written by the Beatles. That's a cover.
Yeah. So when we
I was
were
hoping to fool you guys, but you're on to my joke. Yeah,
no, we can't put anything past this guy. So I'll elaborate just shortly.
Yeah.
We were like coming up with ideas like, let's do a cover. Let's do it like we have all these 20 songs that are originals. Let's do a cover. And we're like, okay, well, it's like we're describing like what would be the best cover? Should we copy a band? Like should we do like Sorrow by Bad Religion? That's not an example that got brought up, but like just copying something like that or whatever. And we landed on the idea like, let's take a song that's A, popular, and B, like totally different from what we do and make it our own. And Blackbird fit both those categories real nice because it's just a single acoustic guitar and Paul McCartney singing by himself.
Yeah, a beautiful song. Yeah, we give it a very different flair.
And then I was like, we decided to do it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I went to go arrange it and I listened to it like closely. And that guy fucks around with the time signatures.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a weird
my
song.
God.
It's a weird song.
Really? Yeah.
Oh yeah, listen to it again.
Yeah.
That's 6 beats, and then it goes into 4. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4.
Oh, nice.
1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Yeah,
Cool.
so it's got 6 and then
Right.
4.
Yeah,
That's fun.
And
That
then
sounds
he
fun.
hops around between those, and like I try to find like a proper version to go. Like the album version wasn't quite cool enough, and I listened to some live versions where he added some cool stuff and changed them. Like that's a structure. So I took what he did. He had 4 verses.
Oh, cool.
We arranged it. And
Nice.
yeah,
I feel like the Beatles are this really cool example of like a phenomenally successful band, right? The first like era of the Beatles, they're like very formulaic though. They had like their twist and shouts, they had like their like here's our little thing. But then once they got successful, like now we get to mess around. Now we get to do what we want to do. And like the further you get into the Beatles discography, like the weirder shit gets.
Yeah, they also stopped touring too. They just became like a recording band.
Yeah, which is an interesting format.
well, when you're that popular, you don't need the tour.
Yeah.
It also relates
But
to
touring's fucking hell fun.
we also like once we arranged the song, we're like, this actually really fits well with our repertoire of songs, and like both in vibe and kind of in context a little bit, in the way that that's kind of presented. And I just felt like it felt like a thing that we could make our own. I feel like that's kind of like there's a history of Beatles songs that like get covered in your own way. Like you can. So we were talking about how like you can take art and interpret it, and then like we can remold it and present it in a different way so it can be interpreted in a different way. And I think, I don't know, the Beatles have a specific history with that. Like, I don't know, if you listen to the Carpenters, they got their first single was Ticket to Ride, which is like, you know, a very Beatles-esque, you've got a ticket to ride, the tambourine. But then they made like a power ballad, very dark Carpenters cover of Ticket to Ride, where they brought it down in BPM. They made it really like more of like a sad song. And you're like, wow, that's a very interesting context. And that was in the 60s. And like, that was their first big hit. So,
Okay.
Wow. Wait. The Ticket to Ride was a Carpenter's cover. The Beatles did.
no, the Carpenters covered the Beatles.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
but they took a Beatles song and they made it into like we kind of did the
Oh,
opposite.
okay.
They took an upbeat Beatles song and made it sad, and we took a sad Beatles song and made it upbeat.
I haven't heard the Carpenter's version. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
check it out.
Right.
Ticket to Ride by the Carpenters.
Yeah. So
Beautiful-
okay.
beautiful cover.
Yeah. So the album release 10 songs, correct?
Yeah, there's 10 songs that we were aiming for 9, but then right before we finalized the mixes, I just had this beautiful idea of like playing this little intro riff, and it's gonna be on the album.
Oh,
so-
okay. I haven't heard that part yet. Okay.
Yeah,
So
You
this,
will.
okay. So on March 16th, Club Saw.
yeah.
Club
March
Saw-
16th, Club Saw.
with
with,
Guest
like-
Room Status and Crisis Party and Tenenbaums,
Oh yeah. Okay. Nice. Awesome.
Very good friends.
some homies of ours.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
then we've got 2 other shows upcoming.
When are they?
One's March 30th in Toronto.
March 30th, Toronto at the Bovine Sex Club with it's with Bitch Fest,
Okay.
and there's
Doghouse Rose.
Doghouse Rose and Cheyenne and who's the fourth?
Kings and Queens.
Kings and Queens, the Queens and Kings.
Sorry, you're thinking. Yes.
other way around.
Sorry.
And then the next show we have after that is going to be in Cornwall with actually these guys right here. They're a band called Darko. I don't know if you can see.
Is that announced yet?
Nice.
Yeah, well, their tour's announced.
Okay.
We're going to be playing with them in Cornwall.
Okay, cool.
The guy who makes the
I
guy
just want
who
to make sure I'm not dropping exclusive information on this podcast.
That's okay. But the show will be announced by the time this comes out.
Okay,
Yeah, so we're playing with them and a band called The Corpse, and I think they're from Vancouver, and they're doing a little tour up to Poutsa Fest. So we're going to be playing the Cornwall show with them, and it's going to be hella fun. And there's something else I was going to say, but I slipped my mind right now.
All right.
We're back. We're so excited. We were talking
yeah.
so much about this time. Like so much of this talk has been about this upcoming record and like the process of going from like a new band to writing these songs and getting them out. And I'm so excited to have Summer and Gary
Same.
playing with us. They're
Same.
such cool people and they're
We have so much fun at
so
practice.
good. We vibe so well, and like I'm so happy that we get to continue this project, because being in the Ottawa music scene for as long as we have, we've seen so many of our dear friends stop playing. We've seen so many bands that had something great going stop going, and the fact that we're still going at all is like a miracle. We're just happy to be here.
I thought we were going to have to call it quits at one point, but we didn't, and we're here and we're back. And if you believe in yourself, kids, you too could be in a sweet punk rock band that does fun stuff and doesn't make any money. I remember what I was going to say now. The guy who's booking this show with us in Cornwall, he made our album cover, Stacey Forrester from Drop Dead Threat.
Amazing job.
Amazing.
So
when
good.
I first saw it, I was like, oh!
Exceeded expectations by a mile.
Yeah.
So good. We're so happy.
We're hella happy. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming on. All right, I will cut it because I have no idea how to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.